Hi, this is Eric Martin with Board Game Geek. I'm here with Ryan Skinner from Cryptozoic Entertainment, and Ryan is going to talk about Mad Science Foundation.
Yes.
Which I know you guys founded a publisher dating.
We did at Gen Con last year. It was awesome. Some first-time designers, Max and Biswa. They're awesome guys. They are out of the Dallas area. They were pitching this at DFW Nerd Night, and subsequently have gone on to pitch it to us and other publishers, and we loved it, and here it is. So, yeah, very exciting little success story from some independent designers, which is always fun. But so the game itself, we can jump right into. It is a game in which each player is going to take on the role of a mad scientist or a misunderstood scientist. They're not necessarily
they're not really mad.
Right.
Yeah.
Every player gets a personality quirk card, like the megalomaniac or the procrastinator, the hoarder. You have all these different personalities of these misunderstood scientists, the mastermind, and so forth. Right. Essentially, these tell you a special scoring mechanic you're going to have at the end of the game. You also get a starting headquarters card, which is essentially your home base that functions as an invention with a big red button that you can push to earn victory points, or in this game, as we call it, infamy. You're trying to become the most infamous of all the mad scientists in the Foundation.
Okay.
So the way the game plays out is it's a kind of drafting game with an interesting cut-and-choose mechanic where one player is designated as the director of the Foundation for the round, and they are going to be granting resources and various goods to the other members of the Foundation to be utilized in their crazy science. Okay. So, for example, if I was the director for the round, I would deal out in a 4-player game a number of resources equal to the player count. Sure. Equal to the player count plus 1. So I would deal out 5 resources in a 4-player game here. And I would also deal out an invention card from the invention deck.
Okay.
So with this, we have 4 different resources that are used towards building inventions and activating inventions. We have lasers, we have the magical element called cryptomium, we have shards of dark matter, little bits of dark matter, and of course we have sharks, last but not least.
Right.
Very important element of all mad science, of course. And then, as you can see on our inventions, it tells you to build this invention what resources you need, and on some of the inventions they will show you that you need particular resources to activate them and be able to push the big red button.
Okay.
Again, very integral elements of doing mad science. So once we've dealt out the resources for the round, the director is then going to divide up those resources into piles equal to the number of players. So again, if this was a 4-player game, I might take these and do something like this, and have this invention with some cryptomium, those together, the dark matter and the shark. The dark matter and the sharks are a little more scarce than the others, and so I might make them a little more valuable by putting them by themselves, or because they're a little more valuable, I put them by themselves, and so forth. So if this was how I divided it, the player to my left then gets first choice of those piles, then the next player, until ultimately it comes around to me and I get whatever's left.
Okay.
So it's a very interesting strategy of how you divide up the resources and goods to make sure that you get what you want and you're not just left with the worst pile. So you're trying to incentivize the other players in ways that help them while helping yourself as well, of course, so that you can build new inventions, collect the resources you need, and become infamous.
Okay.
Along the way, within the resource deck, there are minions that will also be making appearances. For example, the Crooked Director herself, represented by the little standee here. We have the Sassy AI, we have spies, we have a truckload of cash, and we have the Overworked Researcher, who does not have a standee, but is very important. Each of these, as they're dealt out of the resource deck, then modify the draft for the rest of the game.
Okay.
Each of these standees serves a different function that goes into the draft. So as the director deals out 5 resource cards and an invention, they're also going to add in the spy, or they're going to add in the truckload of cash into every subsequent draft. So the draft gets bigger and bigger as the game goes on, and there's more stuff to divide up and modify the value of different piles and so forth. So some of them will just give you free victory points. The truckload of cash serves as a wild resource, so you can use it to buy sharks if you need. The spy can sabotage other people's inventions each round, and the Crooked Director actually dictates who the first player will be in the next round. So at the start of the game, it just goes clockwise, and then later the turn sequence will change depending on who drafts the director's token. So you would play through the entire invention deck, which will be variable depending on the player count. Whole game plays in about 30 to 45 minutes, depending again on players.
And you're just maximizing infamy.
Yep, and you're maximizing infamy to see who the most infamous scientist is.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. Thanks very much for the overview.
You're very welcome.
Mad Science Foundation.
Thank you.